paint something that looks pretty much like the real thing on a nice controlled lighting environment. You know, you can paint a car.
I'm with the Wisconsin Rapids Police Department. Today, you're going to be riding along through video with me as we travel up and down A Street. We'll see some of the difficulties in driving on A Street, and we're going to also point out some ways that you can drive more safely on A Street. Right now, the Wisconsin Rapids Police Department is involved in a safety grant on A Street between the Expressway and Griffith Avenue. This area has been flagged, as you will, by the Department of Transportation as a high accident rate in comparison to other highways throughout the state which have the same volume of traffic. We're heading westbound on the expressway, as would, for instance, high school students from Lincoln High School. You'll notice as you come up to the expressway there's 3 lanes of traffic. The left one that we're going to be taking here is a left turn lane. The other 2 are either straight through, or else the right one you can make a right turn, as you see cars doing. You also notice there's no arrows, so you're pretty much on your own as far as making the turn safely. You have to keep in mind that before you enter the intersection, it should be relatively safe and be able to do this without interfering with other traffic traveling eastbound on the expressway. Now we turn south onto A Street. The focus of the grant here is our median strip along A Street runs all the way from the expressway south to Griffith Avenue. The median strip is primarily there to separate the traffic and be used as a like a neutral zone for completing a turn. Part of the problem we have a lot of accidents because of cars will use it as an acceleration or a deceleration lane, which makes other drivers unaware of exactly what they're doing, or else they will not put on their signal to indicate which way they're going to turn, again affecting other drivers. This intersection we're coming up to here is Pepper Avenue. This would be the next intersection that has lights after the expressway. You'll notice in between the intersections as we go here there's other roads with no traffic signals, only stop signs. Again, you have to yield the right-of-way as you enter the A Street area from any side street with a stop sign. Another problem on A Street here is we have a lot of retail business with their driveways either entering from or exiting onto A Street. Same thing applies when you're coming out of a driveway onto 8th Street. You have to yield the right-of-way to any other vehicle legally proceeding down 8th Street. A lot of accidents that we have, and the reason for this safety grant that we're working on is the fact that failure to yield right-of-way, either making left turns or entering from a different road onto 8th Street, it has a disproportionately high percentage of accident rate than other comparable highways within the state. It should be noted also that 8th Street is considered a state highway. It's considered State Highway 13 from the expressway all the way down to Griffith Avenue. At the expressway, State Highway 13 then turns and goes west on the expressway itself. We just had gone by Airport Avenue, and now we're coming up to 2 Mile Avenue. 2 Mile is another intersection that actually has recently had traffic signals placed there because of the traffic, because of maybe the rate of accidents and the high volume of traffic. South of 2 Mile Avenue, it's fairly a lot less business than north of 2 Mile or Airport Avenue. In this area, it's still, the rules apply as far as failure to yield and everything like that, as well as on any street. However, down here there's less driveways to be concerned with people turning off. It's still important though that you follow proper rules and things like that. Northbound onto 8th Street from Griffith. As we go here, I'll try and point out some of the violations that we'll see as we go north. In the meantime, this safety grant that we're working on is a combination effort by our department as well as the State Department of Transportation in order to reduce the number of accidents and the severity of accidents on this stretch of road. The grant was formulated through a period of a 3-year study done by the Department of Transportation. During this study, they flagged, if you will, certain violations or certain aspects which tend to show up more in the accidents that we do investigate. One of those aspects is that drivers age 55 or older are involved in a disproportionate amount of accidents, as well as the failure to yield and making bad turns.
Ramp at 639.
Pause. Answer the radio. More important things we want to talk about. When a vehicle makes a turn onto 8th Street from any side street or driveway, it's important that they turn into the first lane that's available to them. By that I mean the lane which borders the curb, if they're making a right turn. If the vehicle's making a left turn, if it can safely do so, it should proceed across both of the lanes which travel the opposite way that it wants to go, cross the median and turn into the first or the inner lane which borders the median lane of the direction it wants to travel. And of course, proper signals should be used when they execute this turn. If the turn, which will have to cross both lanes and the median, cannot be done because of the high volume of traffic, what's suggested is the vehicle, if it can safely cross the first 2 lanes, say if it wanted to turn to the south, it would have to cross the 2 northbound lanes of traffic, and once it gets into the median, should stop itself in a parallel position so it is facing south. And then using the mirrors and also looking over the shoulder, make sure the lane is clear. When the lane is clear, then it can accelerate into the lane of southbound traffic, again using its signal to warn other motorists what it intends to do. The intersection we're coming up to now is the expressway, and again we're traveling north on 8th Street. From this view you can see there's actually 4 lanes. The far right one is a turn lane to the right onto the expressway. The lane immediately to our right is only a straight through lane to continue north on 8th Street. The lane that we're in, you can also continue north or you can make a left turn onto the expressway. And the lane directly to our left here is for only a left turn onto the expressway. You'll see that there's a green arrow. When the green arrow is activated, both of these lanes may turn left on the expressway and should not have any worry of traffic that is going to be turning left in front of them. Now we're actually out of the area where the grant is supposed to be centered on, and this is still 8th Street. However, you'll notice that 8th Street still has many driveways and intersections along from the expressway north to East Grand Avenue. One important difference on this stretch of road compared to that stretch is that this stretch does not have a median area. If you're to make your turn, you don't have that option of stopping your vehicle in the median and waiting for the turn. On this stretch of road, you need to stop in your lane of traffic and wait for an opening in traffic where you could safely make that turn. And again, you'd have to use your traffic signal to indicate to other motorists what you intend on doing. This is the intersection of East Grand. You'll notice above us here, as with other intersections, there's signs indicating which lane, or the lane that you're in, what it's designated for, whether it be a turn or whether it be a straight through lane. Not all intersections are identified like that, but it's important, especially on these, that you follow the signs. The ones that aren't identified can be common sense once you get used to driving, which lanes are designated for which. And also, it's important on the road, most cases the intersection will be marked on the road which lane is designated to turn. Actually, two lanes that turn to the right. This is the intersection of A Street and the expressway. There's also two lanes that appear to go straight. However, the inner lane, or the left lane, is actually a left turn lane onto A Street northbound. There's only one lane which actually goes straight onto the expressway. It's kind of somewhat visibly deceiving. These two right turn lanes, there's a arrow or a traffic signal which you just saw that controls this traffic. Sometimes you have a green arrow, which means it's safe to turn right, and sometimes you have a green light, which means it's somewhat safe to turn right. However, when you have the green light, it's important that you watch for other vehicles which are making a turn from the expressway southbound onto A Street, where the two lanes merge together. A lot of times it causes difficulty when the drivers don't see each other, and obviously causes an accident. Right now we're traveling south on A Street again, and again coming up to the intersection of Pepper Avenue. Pepper Avenue is one of the intersections we talked about earlier. It doesn't have any overhead signing of which lane is designated to go which way. It's pretty obvious the two main traffic lanes here are to go straight, and the left turn lane is just that, a left turn lane. You'll see the problem which is created. I'll even move in that lane. When you get in the left lane and there's vehicles facing you trying to make a left turn coming at you, you can't really see what's behind them. It's that you just don't pull out and then look, because if there's a car coming, obviously you're going to be in an accident. It's important that you inch your way out very slowly and safely, and then when it is clear and you can see, go ahead and make your turn. During heavy traffic hours, this is a very serious problem and does cause a lot of accidents. Again, I want to stress that the importance of using your traffic signals or your directional signals to help your safety. You know, it reminds other drivers of what you intend to do. We would suggest for anybody to enter A Street through an intersection with traffic signals. You notice this intersection has a stop sign. It's a very difficult one to enter A Street, especially if you're going to be crossing the street without the signal. We have a break in traffic that's traveling north, so what we can do is get out on the median strip and stop, like I explained before. That way we're not conflicting with any traffic, and the rest of the median strip is open for other motorists to use. Right now, what I want to do is I want to look through my rear view mirrors and also over my shoulder to verify that the lane is clear, and then travel directly into this lane and continue to the south on A Street. When you want to make a lane change and you want to go into the other lane that you're in, again, it's important to signal, check to make sure the lane is clear, both through the mirror and over the shoulder, and then go ahead and make your lane change. Always be observant to the signs on the side of the road, speed limit signs, things like that. The intersection we're coming up to now is Airport Avenue. Airport Avenue does not have any traffic signals and is a stop sign. In the future, I do believe there will be traffic signals here, but for now, when you come to an intersection like such as this, use extreme caution, simply because there's no traffic signals. You just turn north onto A Street from the Kmart entrance, which has a traffic signal. Brings me to another point. some traffic signals, but not all of them, are activated by traffic approaching A Street from the side. When there's a car sitting and waiting, obviously the traffic signal will cycle itself into the next green light for that vehicle to cross A Street or turn onto A Street. Not all of them are like this. Some of them are just strictly timed where it'll be constant. I guess my point is it's important that you always be observant, but especially if you see a car sitting there, the chances that the traffic light will be changing are great, and you should anticipate this as you approach the intersection in case the light cycles from green into the yellow mode, which means caution, as well as the red signal, which means absolute stop. Obviously a green light does mean go. I want to stress that when the light turns green, just don't step on the gas and take off. Look both ways to make sure there's no vehicles trying to sneak through a light. It could save an accident. Once the intersection is clear and you have a green light, it's okay to proceed. When you're approaching the intersection, the light turns yellow. Yellow light actually means stop, but it affords you the capability of making it through the intersection if you cannot safely stop. But in fact, yellow light does mean stop, and obviously red light means stop as well, and that would be an absolute stop. We cover a lot of accidents which deal with violation of traffic. Those, as well as the failure to yields and the improper turns, are the main focus points of the safety grant that we're actually involved in right now. The peak hours for this grant would actually be Monday through Friday, and I believe that's due to the high volume of traffic, and the hours would be from 9 in the morning until 6 p.m. On any of these days you can expect high traffic, and goes along with the high traffic a probability of being involved in a crash if you're not driving safe and conscientiously. The peak hours on those days, actually the peak days, would be Wednesday, Thursday, and especially Friday. For whatever reasons, there's a lot of traffic and maybe people are in a hurry to get home or whatever, but Friday is a very bad day for driving. Wednesdays and Thursdays are almost as bad. Our point with this grant is to reduce the number of accidents, and as well as the number of injuries sustained and the seriousness of injuries sustained in the accidents. With any accident, the more the speed is increased, the higher the probability of a serious injury involved in that accident. On A Street here, the part we're focusing on, speed limit is 35 miles an hour, and it is posted on the sides of the roads. Other parts of A Street are posted as 30 miles per hour as well as 25. It's important that you pay attention to the speed limit signs, and if you can, make yourself aware of this before you travel on A Street. Again, the priority is reducing the accident rate, making it safe for everybody to drive on A Street. We just went by a pedestrian that was standing in the middle of A Street. When you cross A Street, it's important that you use crosswalks, and there are different locations along A Street where, along with the crosswalks, there's a pedestrian crossing signal which you can activate. These are primarily located at intersections with traffic signals. It's probably safest to cross A Street at a intersection with a traffic signal when you have the walk sign rather than the don't walk sign. We'll turn around here, go back, heading south again on A Street. And again, I'm exiting onto A Street from a private parking lot, so I want to stop and I want to make sure that the road is safe to enter. There's several vehicles coming, so I'm going to wait. Once I do enter it, you'll notice I'm going to turn into the first lane that's available, therefore not creating any hazard to any other vehicle which might be turning onto A Street or heading north or south. And You can't see this on tape, but I did signal. This is the intersection of the expressway as we head south on A Street. Again, there's several lanes here, two of which, the center two, are identified as those lanes which continue through the intersection traveling straight ahead or southbound. There's also an intersection road which lets you turn right and a lane which will let you turn left. You'll notice on that lane that it did not have a turning arrow, which allows you that opportunity to make that turn as traffic's been stopped by the signals. Therefore, once again, you have to use extreme caution as you make this turn, making sure that it's safe to do so. The importance of taking your time cannot be stressed enough. If you're in a hurry, it doesn't pay to drive, because a lot of times, because of the traffic conditions, you're not going to get there faster anyway. Do the speed limit, drive safely, always stay far enough behind the car so you can react to whatever they might be doing, such as this van making a turn. And again, watch the traffic signals as you're coming up to them. If it's been green for a long time, chances are it's going to be turning red. Slow down. The big importance is on everybody's safety. Reducing injuries, a very important way of doing that is by wearing your safety belt. Wisconsin does now have a state law which requires passengers in a vehicle, as well as drivers, to be wearing their seat belts. Specifically, the law states that anybody in the front seat who is seated in a position with a seatbelt must be wearing that seatbelt. In the back seat, any seatbelt that has a shoulder harness type seatbelt is obligated also to wear the seatbelt. Children are obligated to be either in an infant seat if they're that young, or a child restraint system, I believe up to the age of 8 years old. It's the parent's responsibility to make sure this is adhered to. When you're involved in an accident, hopefully you won't, but if you are involved in an accident, a safety belt will greatly reduce your chance of being injured or seriously injured as a result of that accident. What happens if you don't have your seatbelt on is when the car stops its motion, the passengers inside the car do not stop. They continue on at the same speed the car was traveling. So therefore, as the car is stopped and the person continues to travel at that speed, they impact with the windshield or the dash or whatever gets in their way at that speed. And this is what causes the injuries. With the safety belt on, the safety belt will stop you from traveling forward when the car stops and will keep you seated in the correct position. We want to stress go with the flow. What we mean by that is to turn right on A Street. Go with the flow and turn right. Turn at another point. You can do it at a signaled intersection. Makes it a lot more safe again when you have to cross the lanes of traffic. And again, the main point of our program here and of this tape is that we want to stress safety. We don't want to see people get into accidents and get hurt.